This is a chart from Gartner, and it talks about how useful generative models are for various use cases. And if you look at the bottom, if you're doing content generation or conversational user interfaces, generative AI is really good at that. And you should definitely consider using some of those models if that's what the kind of use case that you're working on. But if you're looking at segmentation or classification or maybe some recommendation systems, kind of a mixed bag. They can be helpful to a degree, but maybe not as much as certainly the content generation. And then finally, if you're trying to do predictions or forecasting or decision intelligence, they look like they do a pretty good job, but according to Gartner, they're not that good at that. And I'm going to show you some examples of that here. The Gartner chart is all about general use cases, but what we're interested in here is AIoT, artificial intelligence of things. So if you have some kind of a IoT device that has to have a user interface, not all of them do, of course, but if you do have one of those, then using generative AI as a conversational interface to your IoT device makes a lot of sense. The other one is this content generation. Not too many IoT devices need to generate marketing information, which is one of the classic use cases for generative AI. But you can use it to generate synthetic data so that you could generate some data to test out your IoT devices to see if that's working. I think that's a much narrower use case, but it's not, it's still very feasible and very workable. And so that's how I see generative AI primarily affecting the IoT community and the AIoT community. But the real message I'm trying to deliver here is use the right tool for the job. Hammers and screwdrivers and saws are not interchangeable. If you're trying to put a screw into a piece of wood, a hammer is not the right thing to use. And if you're trying to cut a board in half, don't use a hammer to do that. A generative AI hammer only works well on generative AI nails. Make sure you understand what your use case is and what the right solutions would be for that.